Hi everyone, my name is Michael Ozaki, and this is the full interview with the Director and the Basic Needs Manager at Center Helps. It's part of a commitment that we made this year to understanding and learning more about housing issues here in Centre County, believing that it is God's will that everyone has safe and sustainable housing to live in. You'll notice at one point in the video, let's be honest, the quality shifts a little bit, especially the sound. I'm just going to ask for your grace because we had a little bit of technical difficulties along the way. But you can still hear it just fine, and there is an incredible amount of fascinating information, things to take in and think about where might God be leading us next, you as an individual and us as a community, to advocate and serve those in need of housing.
My name's Leanne Lenz. I'm the Executive Director for Center Helps. I have been with the organization as the Director since January 1 of 2018.
And my name is Elena Cito. I am the Basic Needs Case Manager at Center Helps. I have been there since February, so I only got about a month and a half in of normal times. Before then, things got really different.
Tell me about how Center Helps works to assist those with housing needs right now.
Okay, well, Center Helps has a 24-hour hotline, and we do all the information and referral for Centre County. So what that means is that anytime somebody needs help with anything, whether it be food, shelter, or heat, or something else completely random, there are a lot of different resources in the community. Knowing which ones to access or which are best for you, or that they even exist, it can be hard to know until you find yourself needing them. So Center Helps is the first place to call. We have always seen that the majority of our callers, or the largest percentage of our callers, are calling related to housing needs. So even prior to COVID, of all the basic needs calls that we get, more than half of them are related to rent issues or homelessness. So we have always been supporting that population, and what we're seeing now is that that need is increasing. So what we'll do, our hotline counselors will respond to phone calls 24 hours a day. So if somebody needs some help with rent or if they're homeless, we would first talk to them a little bit about what has been going on and what their needs are. And we provide emotional support as we go along in doing that. And we'll also then provide some referrals to other community organizations. So for example, if somebody is homeless and they need support, there's a number of different resources in the community that we would refer to, including Housing Transitions, Out of the Cold, Center Safe if that's relevant. And then if they find themselves really not having any other options, we might refer to our case management program. And the same goes for rent issues. So when somebody calls us for rent support, there might be some other organizations in the community that can help them, depending on different qualifications, different regions of the county even. So we would then refer them to other organizations, but if they can't find any help and they need some extra support and advocacy, we would refer to our Basic Needs Case Management Program. And in that sense, Elena would work directly with the individual and serve as an advocate and help them get through that short-term financial crisis so that they can pay their rent and stay in their home.
So as well as being kind of a clearinghouse for getting folks to referrals to other places, you guys also do a lot of work in-house getting them the help that they need and whatever you can do as well.
Right.
You mentioned the need growing since COVID has hit. Can you speak a little bit more about how you've seen the situation change?
Yeah, it's a little tricky because we know that there was the moratorium on rent evictions, or evictions related to non-payment of rent. And so there were a lot of people who got very behind on rent and still needed help but didn't have that eviction notice. Excuse me. So there are also people who may be just kind of waiting it out and are really behind on rent, but they can't be evicted. And so now that we've seen some changes to the way that that's being done, so the individuals actually have to speak with their landlord and make arrangements so that they cannot be evicted under the moratorium right now. And so we're seeing more people who are actually facing eviction, and we're going to see, once this eviction moratorium ends, we're preparing to see an enormous amount of people who are in need of help. So there actually was a little bit of a lull there for a while in terms of additional calls related to rent, but we're starting to see it build up, and it's certainly going to be a
What are the biggest
major
barriers
issue
that you're
once the
seeing right now
moratorium
to
ends.
getting help to those people?
I think one of the main barriers is that a lot of people don't know that we exist or that there's help out there. We are seeing that there are people who are maybe used to living in a higher income level or have never needed resources or support before and maybe don't even know that it exists. There are programs now that income qualifications are actually a lot higher than they maybe were in the past. So we're seeing folks who are used to living at a certain standard who have been affected by this economic crisis and are needing help and just never had to reach out before, and so are hesitant to do so, or maybe don't even realize that there are resources out there. So that's something that we are trying to address through outreach, and appreciate being here because that helps us with that as well. And then some other barriers are that a lot of times when we work with somebody who is in financial crisis, we want to make sure that they can sustain themselves moving forward. So we help them through that hurdle, make sure that they can kind of stabilize their budget, maybe they can qualify for some other programs, get extra work, whatever it is, so they can take care of themselves moving forward. With the way things are right now, it's challenging to do that because if somebody has lost work and there just really isn't another option for them right now, it's hard to say that they're going to be able to sustain themselves. And so we'll see people come back the next month, or we expect to see people come back a couple of months later, and we don't usually see things like that. So kind of the long-term financial crisis is what we're seeing more so than the short-term now.
But about how many folks are you seeing come through in the course of, let's say, a month? How does that compare to what it was 6 months ago?
Well, as far as our hotline numbers go, they've been climbing recently, but like I said before, there was a lull. The Basic Needs Case Management Program is much more busy and in demand. We're actually so much so that we have had one Basic Needs Case Manager with us for many years, and we just put out an offer to hire a second full-time Basic Needs Case Manager. And as far as the numbers go, I think Elena would be more prepared to answer that because she's the one who's busy and putting in the extra hours right now to help those folks.
How would you like to see individuals and organizations like State College Presbyterian offer support and care for your clients?
Well, I think it's wonderful that even just the outreach, so being here, sharing this video and letting people know that there are resources out there. I think that's one of the main things that can be done. I think there are some people who are suffering who have no idea that there's actually so much support and help. There have been more programs coming out that's why we're so busy in our case management program, is because there's actually a lot of different funding streams, a lot of different programs that we're navigating now, and so somebody might think that there's nothing that can help them when there is. So one of the main things is just to refer people to our hotline, because again, you can call it 24 hours a day. There's always a supportive, compassionate, non-judgmental person on the line to really listen to the story and provide as many referrals as they can, and then potentially connect them with our Basic Needs Case Management Program. So that's one of the main things. We've also seen kind of a spike in interest in regards to volunteering with us on our hotline, and so that's an opportunity as well. We would love to, we have a lot of Penn State students as our volunteers, which is fantastic. We would also love to kind of build that community member base amongst our volunteers. So if somebody's interested in doing that, we offer training in-house 3 times a year, and our next training would be actually in this upcoming spring. So if anybody's interested in that, that would be wonderful. And then we also have our own fund at Center Helps, where we would take contributions from the community that go 100% directly to clients. So if somebody needs their help with their rent, if somebody needs help with fuel, we're going to start seeing that more and more in the winter with heating issues. Then you could send a check to Center Helps, say basic needs on the memo, and what that means is, again, 100% of that goes to support a client. It doesn't go to support Center Helps costs. So that would be great if we could get some interest in that as well.
Understanding that this work can be long and heavy, how can organizations, again, like State College Presbyterian, support frontline workers and organizations like yours?
Wow. Well, I mean, again, being supportive in terms of letting the community know what we're doing and that we're out there is amazing. And sharing what we do is really, a way of honoring our volunteers as well, in the fact that they do so much great work for the community. Otherwise, in terms of supporting us, I think that, just recognition that we're here, like you're doing right now, can be really helpful. And being a part of the team as a volunteer, like I said, to apply as a volunteer, potentially serving on our board, serving on a committee. There are different roles that we could develop in terms of volunteer opportunities to get people involved that could be really helpful.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
I guess I would just like to say that I'm really grateful to be in this community. It's the amount of people and organizations that really stepped up once COVID hit has been amazing. Like we had over 50 applicants to our Hotline Volunteer Program this past semester. There have been times when we've had 8. So it is phenomenal that we've had so many people step up, also in terms of making contributions. And also, I'm very grateful to be in this community where many organizations work together. I think that makes Center County really unique in that, you probably see it amongst the different faith-based organizations in the community. A lot of people are working together, not against each other, so that we can really provide a safety net for the community.
My name is Elena Cito, and I am the Basic Needs Case Manager at Center Helps. I, in that role, am working directly with clients to help navigate the Center County resources that are available to prevent crises such as eviction and utility termination. Center County is a really great place to be in terms of there really is help out there to access, but sometimes just the process of where do I call and how do I do that can be tricky for clients. So I really try to step in and serve as an advocate to access the help that is there. And then I also provide support to the Center Helps hotline in terms of making sure that all of our counselors are really well informed on what resources are out there that they can provide to clients when they call in on the line.
What are you seeing in the community due to COVID-19 at this time that you weren't seeing before?
Sure. So I would say that traditionally, pre-pandemic, the Basic Needs Case Management Program was really about short-term support. Someone would come in with some type of crisis. Maybe they had been in a car accident or been hospitalized, and so they're a month behind on rent. So I would advocate for them to get some funding to cover that month of rent, and then they would usually be able to then move on and be sustainable going forward in the future. But now we have these families who maybe lost their job in March, and they just have not been able to return to work. So many businesses have either shut down or not been able to bring back their employees, and so it's been so difficult for individuals to be able to return to work. And so that inability to have that stable income is just causing people to need support for months at a time, which is causing me to need to access resources for them through different funding, whether that be helping them access the help that's available through adult services, through the private organizations such as the churches, the United Way's Hemer Foundation. We're finding that for the same families, we're just needing to help support them in lots of different ways over a longer period of time.
When you say advocate for them, what does that mean?
Sure. So a lot of my process is to have some long discussions with these clients who are referred to me and really get to know their story, really assess the factors that are causing challenges for them, so that then when I'm going to help them with applications or when I'm calling other organizations on their behalf, I can really explain that we really have carefully assessed everything that these families could be doing to help improve their situation, and we know that this help is absolutely what they need to keep them safe moving forward.
Clearly, these situations are much more complicated than simply handing out money, right, to those who need it in a moment. To help us understand, would you tell us a story about one of your clients?
Sure. Definitely a population of clients that this has been particularly difficult for is single parents. I mean, it's so difficult right now for any parent to be trying to figure out remote learning and all of the challenges that come along with that. But when you have single parents that are trying to help their children navigate remote learning, that prevents such a barrier for them in terms of being able to return to work and being able to even have the time to navigate these resources, because it just takes so much time and energy to go through that process of parenting. So for those clients, like you say, it's a very complicated situation. I may be tapping into resources such as the more affordable childcare options. We might be looking at programs such as SNAP benefits, different things to really just help support them as much as we can.
Again, if you don't have these numbers off the top of your head, completely understand. But about how many people are you seeing now? How does that compare to before?
Sure, yeah, the numbers have definitely been steadily increasing as we get closer and closer to that eviction moratorium expiring just all summer really, and now moving into the fall. There really has been an increase. There were times, like maybe last January and February, when we would see fewer than 20 clients in a month in terms of those that we were actually going through the assessment process with and actually packaging funds for. Sometimes now that number is as high as 30 clients in a month. So definitely a lot bigger than it used to be. And the funding numbers also encouragingly are much, much higher too in terms of what I'm able to access for people. The United Way's Hamer Foundation has been tremendous, and the support from the churches has really been tremendous as well through this entire time. So when you look back at the amount of funding that I am able to help get to clients' landlords to prevent their eviction, that number has also increased as well.
All of those 30 people on average a month, they all come through you for advocacy and case management, correct?
Yes.
Would you tell us a little bit about what it's like in your offices right now?
Sure. Yeah, it can be pretty hectic at times. The phone is ringing very frequently, but we really, in the office, we're such a great team. That's something I so appreciate about being a part of Center Helps. With the support staff and all our volunteers, there's really great communication. There's a really great feeling of, hey, if you need me to do something for you, I've got your back. We've got great interns. So I would say that as much as things are increasing and it can be really challenging at times to try to help the numbers of people that are coming to us for help, it's also just so encouraging to know that every day I go in there, no matter how hard a situation may be, we've really got a lot of support in the office.
How would you like to see individuals and organizations, like State College Presbyterian, offer support and care for your clients?
Sure. So I think the biggest thing is just helping people to know that there's support available before things get so far behind. It's so much easier to try to help prevent a crisis when a client maybe is only 1 to 2 months behind on their rent and utilities versus when they come in, they're 4 or 5 or more months behind. So the way that you guys have been helping us to spread the word about calling Center Helps, about calling adult services, that's been tremendously helpful, because the sooner that we're able to start getting them connected to programs, the easier it is to help prevent those big crises down the road.
Would you give a description of the kind of situation that makes people eligible for the help that you offer?
Sure. There's a really wide variety of situations that make people eligible for the Basic Needs Case Management Program. Recently, the #1 demographic has been people who have lost work due to COVID-19. That may be that they lost some hours, or it may be that they lost their job altogether. Not everybody has received unemployment benefits, and there's been a lot of backup in that system. We also see a lot of people who would have been struggling even in a pre-pandemic world, those who just live on very low income, be that Social Security income, and it really only takes, one trip to the hospital or one car accident to where they really do need some help. So it is a really wide range of people who can be eligible for our program.
Is there an income limit?
So the income limit for our program is 250% of the federal poverty level. When I'm helping to connect them to different programs. They have their own income limits that I follow. So the Hamer Foundation through the United Way, there actually is not an income limit. As long as they have been affected by COVID-19, they can be eligible for that funding. For the Adult Services Program, it's 200% of the federal poverty line. So there's some variety there as well.
When you say 250% of the federal poverty line, in numbers, what is that about?
Sure. So it depends on the size of the household. For a household of one, I know the federal poverty line 100% is maybe around 1,500, and then that number increases for every member of the household you add.
Okay. So at the base, we're looking at about $45,000 a year.
Right.
And I would just add to that as well that there are no income guidelines or any kind of restrictions to calling our hotline. So, I would definitely discourage anyone from trying to determine for themselves whether or not they're eligible for our case management services. Our hotline is there to actually help to determine whether or not that's a good referral. So, our goal is always to get people help as soon as they can get it. So if we think they're going to get help faster by, contacting another organization, we refer them there. If we think that they're going to get help faster by connecting with our basic needs case manager, then we would have them do that. So anybody can call us for any reason. And one of the other things that we do with our case management program, we are kind of the catch-all for very unique, odd situations. So, we get some very strange calls for things anything that might threaten somebody's ability to stay in their home. So I don't even want to give specifics of what we've seen recently because they're so unique that they would identify the family that was experiencing it. But if you have something like that where you're just really, something comes up and you don't know how to address it and you don't know where to go and you don't know where to turn for help, please call the Center Helps hotline because we will connect you with resources and or connect you with our case management program, whatever is best for you.
And the funds that you have received are not funds that you have until they run out, right? These are funds that have to be used by a certain date.
That depends on the program, yes. So I do partner with Adult Services. Most of those funds do have to be used by the end of December. Some of the other funds, there are more flexible guidelines, such as the United Way's Hamer Foundation funds. And then, of course, the churches provide the ongoing support, which is just so great to know because we have no idea how long, this is going to continue to make things really difficult for families and individuals. So knowing that the support of the churches is going to continue to be there is just really comforting to know.
Yeah. And I imagine many people wait because they think, I don't want to take something that I want to leave it available for somebody else. But that's not quite how it works, correct? Yeah.
Right, exactly. And that is something that we've heard on our hotline. But yeah, definitely want to dispel that. Right now at this moment, there are so many funds available, so it is just so great if people can reach out as soon as they can.
Is there a way individuals or organizations like State College Presbyterian can support or encourage frontline workers such as yourself?
Yeah, I would say that I feel very supported knowing that the churches like State College Presbyterian are a partner to me in my basic needs case management role. It's so comforting to know that you guys are making referrals to me and that you're there to provide help if I do have one of those really unusual client situations and there's really not another more traditional funding source. I can reach out and the church community and the helping organization community really does feel very interconnected. And so, I feel very supported knowing that there's a network and that we're all helping each other through referrals and through really working as a team to support the clients that need us.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I definitely just want to share so much gratitude to State College Presbyterian and to the entire church network. It's one of my favorite parts of each week to be able to be reaching out to different churches and to, like I said, know that there is support out there, to know that there's places that clients can go, not just for financial support, but also that there really is community. This is such an isolating time, and so I'm just really grateful to know that churches and helping organizations are just providing support for our clients in so many different levels. So very grateful for you guys.
Thank you both very, very much. I think one of the great blessings of Center Helps and the other organizations is we assume that we can only help if we have a certain level of resources or money or contacts. But what we're hearing over and over again is that if we can simply connect people, to let them know you're there, to be a caring voice that points them towards you folks, that helps everyone at every level.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're really grateful to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.